You're listening to the PRO Media Network. The next level in entertainment.
Here he goes. Throwing it down! How about a poster? Anthony Davis is on fire!
You're listening to the Pelicans post-game report on the PRO Media Network for all things Pelicans.
For all things Pelicans, you're now listening to Pelican post-game report on the PRO Media Network. I'm Big Q, and I'm chiming in with you on podcast 256. That's right, 256 on the Pelican postgame report. And in this episode, we'll be recapping the Pelicans' 116-109 win over the Los Angeles Clippers in the Smoothie King Center. They helped the Pelicans, that's right, go 3-0 on the year, 3-0 on the year for the New Orleans Pelicans. So congratulations to the Pelicans as they starting out 3-0. This is the first time since the 2010-2011 season when they did this, by the way. So this is epic. So first of all, before we get going, I'd like to give you a round of applause for joining us on the Pelican post-game report. To all our new and established listeners of the show, thank you for joining us for this show as we break down the latest happenings on the Pelicans. We got a good show for you today. A lot of information on the Pelicans, despite the fact that the Pels are now 3-0. A lot of you people out there are like, yes. So we got the Saints over here at 5-1. We got the Pelicans over here at 3-0. And it's a good time to be a New Orleans fan, a New Orleans sports fan, isn't it? Well, in today's episode podcast, 256 of the Pelican post-game report, we got a lot to recap. We're going to recap the Pels and Clippers matchup, as I mentioned. I'm breaking down with stats and facts and my customarily way of doing things. We also have interviews from Gentry and Anthony Davis. They'll chime in on their thoughts on their team as well. Also have some Pels news and items to talk to you about. In particular, we'll talk about a former NBA commissioner giving shots out to our current general manager, Dale Demps. Now, I've always been Dale Demps' advocate. I question a lot of his moves, including the firing of Monty Williams, the hiring of Elvin Gentry, a few other movements too, signing of Solomon Hill, the signing of Omer Asik. But Dale Demps has been picking up brownie points for me as of late because a lot of his moves are starting to turn out, and some of them that didn't. But you can see the team starting to turn. You can start to see his vision of what he originally told us what he wanted to do come to fruition. You can't keep hammering the man when you start to see stuff going in the way where he said it. You got to cut him some slack. Well, David Stern, the former NBA commissioner, came out and lambasted general manager Dale Demps, and we're going to go into that story and break it down later. We're also going to talk about the fact that the Pelicans, man, they're doing real good. They keep climbing. The Pelicans have now gotten themselves a G League team. Now, remember last year, they were trying to decide between locations where to put G League. You had Shreveport, you had the West Bank of the New Orleans area, you had Baton Rouge, you had Pensacola in the deal. I think Mobile was in there at one time. But an unlikely name has resurged, and the Pelicans are going to have a G League team setting up pretty soon. So we'll tell you some information about that. We'll also have on the back end of the podcast, we'll preview the Pels as they get ready for the Nets Friday in the Smoothie King Center as Brooklyn comes in. So without further ado, let's get right into podcast 256 of the Pelican postgame report. Pelicans 116-109 win over the Clippers. Excellent win for the Pelicans, 3-0 once again. Team statistics, here we go. Pelicans shot 40 of 93% from the field. That's about 43%. The Clippers actually did pretty good, too. They shot a 47% field goal percentage on the game, 41 of 87. They were 5 of 20 from downtown for 25%. The Pelicans were a little bit better, 6 of 24 from downtown. The threes wasn't falling. But the free throws, the Pelicans hit 75%, 30 of 40 free throws versus what the Clippers did, 22 of 27 for 81.5. That's my whole sticking point with the Pelicans. I'll go in as I keep going down the breakdown. Pelicans did out-rebound the team 59-55. They had 12 offensive rebounds in this game, so big up to the Pelicans. They had 22-18 on their assists. 12 steals. Drew Holiday was big as other Pelicans were pretty good. 9 blocks by the Pelicans, major league in this game. And a stat of the year, the Pelicans held their turnovers down to just 28 single-digit turnovers by the Pelicans, while forcing the Clippers to have 17. So they more than double the turnovers of their adversary. So big ups for the Pelicans for doing that, even getting 18 points off of those 17 turnovers. Pelicans tied 16-60 on fast break points and points in the paint. They won that battle 64-60 and as well. So looking at some of the team statistics and you say, okay, we watched the game 116-109. Didn't look like that much of a difference in the game, thinking that it was a lot closer. Let me tell you something. The Pelicans at one time was up by 20. They did have a lapse coming down the stretch, but not that much of a lapse. It was still considerably able to keep the lead at distance, where the Clippers just never were quite in arm's reach. You know, and like I said in the previous show, the preview of this Clipper game is that I told you Tobias Harris is their best player. Of course, Tobias Harris turned down an extension to go back and sign with the Clippers. That was during the preseason. He wants to enter the 2019 as a free agent and choose where he wants to go. I would love to have a guy like Tobias Harris. That was one of the guys I said the Pelicans should try to trade for, was Tobias Harris. You know, he would fit perfectly next to Anthony Davis at that small forward position. He can guard multiple positions. He can shoot the ball. He's athletic. He plays defense. He has a great attitude. Tobias Harris, a perfect Pelican to fill that wing position. You know, he's a borderline all-star. Like that guy a lot. He finished the game with 26 points before we get into individual statistics. Let me tell you about the Pelicans. The free throws, they could have really beat this team by at least another 5 or 6 points if you look at the free throws. 30 or 40 from the free throw line. They got to do better than that. 75%, I know this team can do better than that. 30 or 40, they really have to work on their free throws. Impressed with the low turnovers. Big time for the Pelicans. Let's get impressed with what the Pelicans were able to turn in. And before we go into the individual statistics, let's hear what Coach Elvin Gentry had to say about his team performance against the Clippers. Here's Coach Gentry.
Well, that team, you know, any Doc team, you know, like I told you at the start, that backcourt is going to be as good a defensive backcourt as we're going to see the whole year, you know, from the standpoint of, getting into you and trying to direct the ball and trying to disrupt what you're doing. You know, they're really, really good at it. I thought we started the game okay, and then I thought we got a little, we decided that we were going to make one pass and shoot, or one pass and post up, or, you know, we weren't playing the way we were supposed to be playing. And I think that's what got us in trouble. No ball movement, you know. We're not a 22 assist team. We're a 26 or 28 or 30 assist team, but we're not a 22 assist team. And I thought we got kind of caught up in of just, you know, quick shooting, first of all. You know, we want to push the basketball, and, you know, if the shot is there, fine, but, you know, to just run down and take the quick three-point shots, that's not who we are, and that's what we got to get out of our game.
Coach, there was a 23-8 run to start the second half. Was there something in particular that you wanted to stress at the start of the third quarter that would help separate the game a little bit?
Yeah, we just talked about playing the way we're supposed to play, and you know, we can't let our competition dictate how we play. You know, those guys are really, really good, but, you know, I thought, you know, for the first time this year, our spacing, it wasn't very good. Our post passing was not very good either. And, you know, we didn't have the zip that we normally have. I didn't think we pushed the basketball. I thought we played at about 75% from the standpoint of getting out and pushing it and running it and trying to get easy basket. We didn't get a whole lot of easy baskets. Although we had a lot of points in the paint, we didn't get a lot of easy baskets initially in our transition, and that's because I didn't think we ran very hard, and I didn't think our cuts was very hard tonight.
That was Coach Gentry chiming in with his thoughts on the Pelicans win over the Los Angeles Clippers 116-109, as you can hear the coach break it down. Of course, we mentioned that the Pelicans, you know, they had so many blocks in this game. They were terrific. No, going through it with the preseason, 0-5, then coming out the regular season 3-0. I know too many people thought the Pelicans would start the year at 3-0. A lot of people didn't think the Pelicans would beat the Houston Rockets, but they were able to do it. You know, and that just goes to show you, man, this team is really looking for something larger than life. And it's just proven. You look at what the Pelicans trying to find the exact right matchup, the right lineup. And I mentioned the death lineup. But if you look at the starting five the Pelicans have, Anthony Davis, we mentioned in the last game how Nikolai Mirotic lit the first two games up. Eventually, he was going to have a slide. Eventually, he was going to tail off. Of course, he was going to have a game where he wasn't hot. Well, he finished with 18 points. 7 of 18 on field goal shooting in 30 minutes, 0-6 from downtown, 18 points, 12 rebounds in the game for Niko Mirotic. Now, that's still good, but we knew that eventually his hot hand will cool off. And when it does, then your more established talent, like Anthony Davis, the best team player on the team, will take over. He had 34 points in this matchup. 34 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 block shots Anthony Davis had in this one. In 40 minutes of action, he shot 11 of 21 from the field, 2 of 3 from downtown, 10 of 15 from the free throw line. He was excellent. There's no better way to place this. Elfrid Payton had his best output of his young career with the Pelicans. 20 points in 36 minutes of play with 7-11 from the field. 1 of 1 from downtown, which was a crucial three-pointer that helped create more separation. That was really the dagger. And 5 of 7 from the free throw line. He finished with 20 points, 6 assists, and 6 rebounds. Elfrid Payton has found a home, and we talked about that ad nauseum during the offseason about what his contribution is and the fact that he's actually playing on a team that's competing for something. When he was in Orlando, that team didn't have anything. Went to Phoenix, they were not as even in worse shape. So, Kim coming here, he's playing with an established players like Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday, and you have Niko Mirotic there. Elfrid Payton can relax into his role and just be a distributed defensive guy, attacks the basket, and he has a chip on his shoulder. He under a 1-year deal. Like I said, it's a proven deal. This guy's trying to earn another contract and show that he's not done. So he's showing up big, and he fits well in the system. Big ups to Elfrid Payton. Drew Holiday was not as good. He played 38 minutes, was 2 of 15 from the field, all 4 from downtown, 4 of 6 from the free throw line. But Drew Holiday, what he does best is defense. He had 8 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, and he had a couple of steals. But his defense he was all over those guys. And when Drew Holiday knows that when his offense is not there, he can always rely on his defense. And that's exactly what he did. And then, of course, it's E'Twaun Moore in 34 minutes, 6 of 13 shooting from the field, 2 of 5 from downtown. He finished with 14 points on the night. So E'Twaun Moore really relaxing even further into his role of what he's doing in this and just becoming more of that sharp shooting scorer. You can see him attacking the basket. You can see him a little bit more relaxed. He's undersized, but he still gives Alvin Gentry that 3-guard look that's still dangerous. And it's working for the Pelicans. Julius Randle off the bench. He had 22 minutes, had 18 points in those 22 minutes. And 5 rebounds, 5 of 9 shooting, 1 of 2 from downtown. But Julius Randle stunk last game with the free throws. He was 7 of 7 this time around, so he must have heard the show. He was excellent. And then, of course, the Pelicans only went 4 guys deep off the bench after having such an excellent night. Darius Miller played 13 minutes, only scored 2 points. Solly Hill played 23 minutes, only had 2 points and 3 rebounds. And, of course, Ian Clark got some action. He had 4 minutes, didn't register a basket, but did have a rebound. So that's the statistics on what the Pelicans were able to do against the Clippers. Really, really solid win against the Clippers. They're real scrappy. Patrick Beverley and the rest of those guys, as their top scorer was Tobias Harris with 26 points, 9 rebounds in 38 minutes of action, followed by Danilo Gallinari at 24 points in 35 minutes. So that'll do it for the Pels and Clips breakdown. We're about to go to break. When we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to have where Anthony Davis thought about his win over the Clippers. After that, we'll talk about Pelican news, David Stern comments, the G League team, and then preview the Pels and the Nets. That's coming up for Friday night. All that on the other side of the break. Stay with us. You're listening to the Pelican Post-Game Report on the PRO Media Network.
Forget ESPN or Fox. Get straight sports talk from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
Sports fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear. From all the leagues, teams, and players you love, unique one-of-a-kind designs exclusively by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars shipped directly to your home. Join Fanatics Rewards for free to earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and for a limited time, get 20% off all orders. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
Do you need a domain name? How about a host for your website that can work with WordPress? Try Namecheap.com. They make registering, hosting, and managing domain names for yourself or others easy and affordable because the internet needs people. Namecheap is an ICANN accredited domain register and technology company founded in 2000. It's one of the fastest growing American companies according to the 2018 Inc. 5000, celebrating nearly 2 decades of providing unparalleled levels of service, security, and support. Namecheap has been steadfast and customer satisfaction with over 10 million domains under management. Namecheap is among the top domain registers and web providers in the world. They offer a full selection of popular and unique domains along with fully featured hosting packages, SSL security certificates, WhoisGuard privacy protections, and more, all at the lowest prices in the industry. So if you need a domain name or hosting or anything else, think Namecheap.com. That's right, Namecheap.com. Check the description section below for link.
What's up, sports world? The PRO Media Network is on a mission to reach 10,000 subscribers. So besides our regular programs like the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, the Pelican Post Game Report, Rapid Fire TSC, and others, we will be expanding out and offering other content like movie, anime, and gaming reviews for your entertainment. So if you enjoy our content, please donate at our Patreon page. Also subscribe, comment, and share. And help the PRO Media Network reach 10,000 subs. Peace.
You're listening to the Pelicans post-game report on the PRO Media Network for all things Pelicans.
All things Pelicans, you're listening to the Pelican post-game report on the PRO Media Network. We back off a break, and in the first segment, of course, we broke down the Pels versus the Clippers matchup, and we have one more interview to play from Anthony Davis, his thoughts on the matchup against the Clippers. We'll play that momentarily, then we'll break down Pel news, covering with David Stern. Defunct, retired David Stern, the former commissioner of the NBA. We'll break down his thoughts on general manager Dale Demps, his harsh critiques of Dale Demps, man. After all those years, he comes out and he just lambases Dale. We'll tell you about what he said. Also, the Pelicans, man, they have a new G League team. We'll tell you some information about that, and then we'll get into the preview against the Pels and the Nets. So without further ado, here's Anthony Davis giving you his thoughts on the Pelicans win over the Clippers. Here's AD.
We battled. They went on a run. You know, we countered that with our own run and got defensive stops and was able to make some big shots on the other end and get stops on the defensive end. So it was the first time that we, had to be in a dogfight in the fourth quarter. And I think for the first time, our guys handled it well.
Were you wondering how the team would respond when the three wasn't going down, and what did you think of how that worked out tonight?
No, we keep shooting. Keep shooting with confidence, and that's all it was. We know that it's not going to fall as much as we like every night, but them the games where you have to go and rely on defense, and we were able to do that. And once we play defense and get stops and run, we see the ball go to the rim, get to that line, have to be better at the line first off, and when we get to the line and make free throws and see the ball go in, then you just get in the rhythm, and now you're even more confident to shoot the three.
Is it important during the course of the season to get wins when things aren't necessarily going your way the way they were tonight?
Oh, for sure. Just for the fact when get later on in the season, game 60, 70, you're kind of tired, long season. You know how to battle through those moments from previous experiences. So, it was good that we had a battle tonight. We were able to come out with a victory.
3 games, 3 very different styles of the teams you played. Mm-hmm. How important do you think that is for a team that's coming together and figuring itself out to kind of, have these situations where you have to adjust?
I think it's really good. We, starting to see ourselves winning in different ways with 3 different types of teams. One that's scrappy tonight, one that like to run, and then another one, that also run at the same time. But it's a young team that like to play hard. So, it's good for us, to get 3 wins, and especially the way that we're getting them. So, like I said, it's not always going to be perfect, but we'll take every win we can.
Anthony, was there a moment tonight where you thought you might have to put the game on your back and bring it home?
Yeah, for a second, when they made their run towards the end of the third, and then when Julius got 5, I knew I was coming back in, and I think that was the moment where I told myself it's time to play, and also told Drew that we got to take the game over, and that's what kind of happened. And other guys were able to make shots and step up. EP with the big 3, Etwan with a couple floaters. Solo played well, doing stuff that don't show up in the box sheet. So for us, it's about playing a team effort. but we know late game situations when it's close. We're going to try to get the best look, whether it's for myself, Drew, or find a guy open for three. Like the one East on head, he missed it, but it's a great look for us.
Anthony Davis breaking down his thoughts on the game against the Clippers. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the Pels news and dealing with what defunct former commissioner, NBA Commissioner David Stern, who was like the commissioner for 100 years in the NBA, jokingly speaking. Before we talk about the story, I just want to give a big shout out to Rachel Nichols of ESPN. Big shout out to Rachel Nichols, who they covered this story in the news report when they were breaking down what was being said. Tracy McGrady, the former Houston Rockets star, chimed in and said that the New Orleans was not a prime destination. It's not Miami. It's not Los Angeles. It's not New York. It's not none of those places. But Rachel Nichols then immediately replied that New Orleans is better than all those places. It's my favorite destination. Rachel Nichols, thank you very much. Represent the city of New Orleans. Big ups to Rachel Nichols for giving New Orleans love over Miami and the rest of those places. Thank you, Rachel. But there are a lot of players out there that do think like T-Mac was saying, but there's a lot of people that love New Orleans, that love to come to New Orleans. And let me tell you something. Once New Orleans start building, winning, it'll become a destination. Just like you can't tell me that New Orleans is not better than OKC in terms of destination. What the hell do they have up there? But New Orleans is a place that you can come. I mean, look at San Antonio with Greg Popovich. What did they establish? A culture of winning and winning championships. And then you have big time players wanted to go there and play to win championships. Same thing could be done here in New Orleans. So, that is the culture that they want to perpetuate. They have an owner. They have owners that have been spending the money, and the support of the team is finally coming around. That last year, going against the Portland Trail Blazers and performing like that has ratcheted up the Pelicans fan base exponentially down here. And you'll see it only grow even further. But let's get into the story about David Stern. That's reported on by ESPN and a number of news outlets that's saying David Stern, quote, Pelicans GM Dale Demps is a lousy general manager. Of course, this story goes all the way back to the 2011 when the NBA owned the Pelicans because of the previous owner was having hardships. Remember, he moved the team here from Charlotte to New Orleans. He had crazy little weird deals with certain cable companies and other people. But only certain sections of the city could actually watch the game. It wasn't distributed around the area like it is now. When Tom Benson came, he changed all that. When he bought that team, he through all those television deals and had set up a deal where the entire region could see the Pelicans, where the other guy failed. It just showed you the difference in mindset and ownership. Anyway, the NBA bought the team off the previous owner before they sold it to Tom Benson. David Stern, the NBA was actually running the team, and David Stern, the league was the owner, where general manager Dale Demps was here at the time, and the team was looking to be competitive. Now, the NBA was looking to sell the team, and they didn't want to straddle the team with a bunch of old contracts and old players. So Dale Demps proposed a good trade. He proposed to get Goran Dragic, Kevin Martin, Louis Scola, and another player to trade for Chris Paul, who wanted to leave at the time. Well, the move would have sent Chris Paul to the Lakers. David Stern balked at it. He said no. And we'll read from the article yourself to hear what he said about it. It stood the test of time that New Orleans general manager Dale Demps is lousy and poised to lose star Pelicans Anthony Davis. That's a whole nother matter. Not only did he say he's a lousy GM, but he also said that New Orleans is going to lose Anthony Davis. This is the former commissioner talking foolish like this. Quote, there was a trade that Dale Demps wanted us to approve, and I said, heck no. But he had told Daryl Morey and Mitch Kupchak he had the authority to do it, and he didn't. Stern said of the Houston Rockets general manager and the former Los Angeles GM, I said, no, we just settled the lockout, and you want me to approve a basketball trade? So now, this is what Stern did not waver on. He said Demps had agreed to trade Chris Paul, to the Lakers for Kevin Martin, who was a pretty good player at that time, Stern said. And the next trade was then to the Clippers for Eric Gordon, Farouq Aminu, and what we thought was really a good draft pick, which was the 10th overall pick, which turned out to be Austin Rivers. At least those three. And somewhat else, which was Chris Kaman. But Dale Demps is a lousy general manager, and none of those players are currently with the team anymore, and he may lose Anthony Davis. Now, of course, But he said also, I did it because I was protecting the then Hornets, Stern said of the 2011 veto. To this day, everyone always asks me, well, why did you keep Chris Paul from going to the Lakers? I didn't keep him. I didn't approve the trade. No team sells or trades a future Hall of Famer without the owner signing off, and I was the owner's rep. But I wasn't going to hand up Dale Demps. This is what the Pelicans said about what Stern said about Dale Demps. Quote, we are very disappointed to read the inappropriate and inaccurate comments from the former NBA commissioner regarding New Orleans Pelicans. The club said in a statement, our organization has the utmost confidence in our general manager, Dale Demps. He's a part of our family, the NBA family. We are excited about the direction of our team, the 3-0 start to the season, building on the success of the 2017-18 playoffs. And finally, our organization is excited and proud to be a part of the NBA with the progressive and innovative leadership of NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. So the Pelicans obviously sticking it to the old man, the bitter old commissioner David Stern, and the new commissioner Adam Silver is obviously who they like, and they termed him as progressive, which is a snag at him. So if you can read in between the lines, you can see it's a little beef between these two guys. But for David Stern to come out and call Dale Demps a lousy general manager, and that he's poised to lose Anthony Davis, how many points did goddamn David Stern ever score in an NBA game? I mean, he's a lawyer, man. Come on. He's a paperwork guy. Miss me with comments about general manager Dale Demps. If you know anything about basketball, then you would have known that getting Goran Dragic and Kevin Martin was a hell of a player for many years with the Timberwolves. He just wasn't in the right system. Goran Dragic is still playing in the league. He's a perfect, if you gave Elvin Gentry Goran Dragic. Remember, Goran Dragic played for Elvin Gentry in Phoenix. Goran Dragic is a hell of a point guard. Kevin Martin was a hell of a shooting guard. Louis Scola was a hustle player that was vital in Houston when he was there. He was a really solid player that did. Now, the trade that he said he okayed for was Eric Gordon. We hated Eric Gordon down. He was always hurt. He didn't want to be here. El Farouk Amino wasn't nearly as good as what he turned out to be in Portland. And then Austin Rivers, you know the story behind Austin Rivers. We got Austin Rivers. He played for a few years down here. And the only system he ever excelled at is the system which his dad was running. So at the end of the day, what the hell are you talking about? Of course, the first trade, the Vito trade, was a better fit. But in actuality, if we wouldn't have got that terrible player, Eric Gordon and El Farouk Amino and the rest of those guys, we wouldn't have been terrible enough to get Anthony Davis. So at the end of the day, we got Anthony Davis. And the comment on the part about him talking about we're poised to lose Anthony Davis. How the hell are we poised to lose Anthony Davis and the team is 3-0 and Anthony Davis says he's not going anywhere and he just wants to win? Well, if the team is winning, why would he leave? Why would he leave? So once again, I don't want to hear anything from old man David Stern about basketball. He's a lawyer, for God's sake. I doubt the guy even know how to dribble a ball. Anyway, let's move to the next story about the Pelicans, man. Dealing with the Pelicans, got a G League team. Of course, now remember the Pelicans for a long ass time. The Pelicans for a long time was trying to land themselves a G League team. And remember, they went through all of this rigmarole about they went through 5 clubs. They talked to different cities. They talked to Shreveport. They talked to Baton Rouge. They talked to the West Bank of New Orleans. They went to Pensacola. They went to 4 or 5 other destinations. Nobody gave them. And I thought Pensacola, they awarded it to Pensacola. Pensacola didn't come through with the funding to rebuild the arena. Something happened. They decided to kill the deal. Now, I've reported on that story. We reported on that story before the regular season started, that the Pelicans decided to move on from the G League, or suspended at this time because they didn't like what they were seeing. But anyway, what the Pelicans did do now is they decided to bring it back in. Well, guess what? The Pelicans have decided to field a G League team in Birmingham, Alabama. Picture that, right? I thought they might put it somewhere close. I was looking at, maybe putting it, I would be surprised. Jackson, Mississippi was a team, looking at Jackson, Shreveport, places like that. But the team decided to go to Birmingham, Alabama. So kind of reaching out, a few states away and put their team in Alabama. That's very unique for the Pelicans to do. Now, according to the story from the Associated Press, it's saying that New Orleans will field a G League team in Birmingham starting in the 2022-23 season. So 2022 into the 2023 season is when they're going to start. Now, the Pelicans announced yesterday that they have acquired the rights to the NBA G League team, given the development league 2018 teams by 2019-20 season, which is next year. So they have 28 G League teams You got 30-odd NBA teams. Now you got 28 G League teams, and the Pelicans put one in Birmingham, Alabama. The team, which hasn't been named, will play next season as the Erie Bay Hawks in Pennsylvania, but while Birmingham's Legacy Arena is being renovated. So they're the Erie Bay Hawks right now of Pennsylvania. But when the arena is renovated, they will move from Erie to Birmingham and become whatever the G League team will be. Of course, they'll name all of that. Now, the downtown arena will undergo a $123 million renovation and expansion before the team begins playing Alabama. The upgrades will include a new facade, new entrances, and expansion that allows for new suite level and premium club space. So they're doing it big in Alabama for the Pelicans. The Pelicans will then partner with the Bayhawks current management to operate the team in Erie right now, the Pelicans new G League team. So big ups to the Pelicans organization. Let's continue to climb, man, and do great things. Now let's get to the Pelicans breakdown of the Nets. Now this is going to be an interesting game because the Brooklyn Nets 1-2. They were 0-2 on the road, which is not good. The Pelicans, of course, undefeated. 2-0 in the Smoothie King Center. We expecting a big turnout for this one. Brooklyn Nets, not a big turnout, but we hoping the Pelicans could keep the ball rolling pretty good as the team look for its 4-0 start. So we'll be keeping close tabs to watch what goes on with that. Now, of course, they are facing up against a Brooklyn Nets team who is averaging 106 points a game versus the Pelicans 132 a game. Now they're giving up 113. That is Brooklyn. The Pelicans giving up 117 points a game while shooting 52% from the field. The Brooklyn Nets are shooting 49%. Pelicans averaging 51 rebounds per game. Brooklyn's 45 rebounds per game. Pelicans 31 assists a game. Assists for the Brooklyn Nets 25. Pelicans 5.3 on the blocks. Nets are 5.7. Pelicans almost 9 steals a game versus Brooklyn 6 a game. Pelicans currently on a 3-game winning streak. The Brooklyn Nets just lost their second game of the season against the Indiana Pacers in blowout fashion, 132-112. Clippers. The Pelicans beat the Clippers 116-109 to improve the 3-0. Now looking at some of the injuries, Pelicans have no injuries to report. Good news there. Brooklyn Nets, Allen Williams is day-to-day. Shabazz Napier and Trevion Graham are out. And Krukus is day-to-day for the Brooklyn Nets. Now, the top scorers for the young Nets are Chris LeVert. He has 25 points a game, shooting 65% from the field. He is their top scorer. Top rebound is Ed Davis with 8 a game. Assist man is Darren Russell with 6 a game. Anthony Davis is the top man for the Pelicans, 30 points a game, 13 rebounds a game. And then Drew Holiday is 9 assists a game. So coming into this one, looking at some information we've got, this is not a hard game for me to choose. I think the Pelicans right now are playing really well. I don't see them losing this game, just like I didn't see them losing to the Clippers. Don't get me wrong, I don't think the Brooklyn Nets are going to come in and lay an egg. They're a very young and talented team, similar to some of the teams they play, like the Sacramento Kings, a more established kind of team in flux like the Clippers. They'll come in and give them a battle. But then when it's all said and done, I expect New Orleans, if they're a next tier team, you got to beat these piddling teams like the Nets and the Clippers and the Kings. I call them piddling teams because, you know, they're not competing right now. They're not going to compete for anything right now. If the Pelicans really are on that level where they're a team that's trying to vie for that first tier or second tier, they have to beat these teams that's below the second tiers and maybe in a third or fourth round. They have to be able to knock these teams off and stack up wins because they have a very difficult game after the Nets against the Utah Jazz, and Utah always plays the Pelicans tough. So I expect the Pelicans to go 4-0 and knock off the Brooklyn Nets at home and on a Friday night where everybody watching. So I'm expecting the capacity crowd, and there's about 17,000 plus people here to watch the Pelicans on Friday night go 4-0. What could be any better? So no doubt about it, Pelicans get this win over the Brooklyn Nets. And that'll do it for the show. Thank you for joining us for the Pelican Post Game Report Podcast 256. As always, if you enjoy the show, please feel free to reach out and share the show with other like-minded Pelican fandom that you guys talk to, guys at work, whatever. Share our shows. Feel free to share our show on all your social media feeds. If you're a Facebook person, put it there. You know, if you're in the forums, put it there. If you're on Reddit, put it there. You know, help us out. Also, there's patreon.com. You go to patreon.com. You can also become a contributor, a monthly or a one-time contributor, help donate funds to help empower the platform as we get to move forward and improve our quality of programming as well. There's also our social media networks where you can join up and subscribe and share. So as always, thank you for listening to the Pelican Post Game Report. New and established listeners, from me and the entire crew here, peace.
listening to the Pelicans postgame report on the PRO Media Network for all things Pelicans.
Tea is your escape. It's your opportunity to create a moment for stillness, for reflection, for yourself. It's your connection to a world of senses, flavors both exotic and familiar, energizing and relaxing. It's your retreat from an increasingly turbulent world. It's the perfect paradox of simplicity and complexity. Teabox.com connects tea to people, uniting the richest flavors of the finest teas with the curious, the cultivated, and the adventurous all over the world. The freshest tea you've ever tasted, from crop to cup. There's simply no simpler way to experience the wonderful complexity of tea. Teabox, packing up the freshness. Tea thrives on freshness, and so do they. Teabox temperature and humidity control facility ensure that tea is maintained. The teas themselves go into oblique bags with aluminum layers that protect them from excess moisture and light. With Teabox, shopping for fresh, loose leaf tea is easy because you make an informed purchase. You know exactly where your tea is coming from. So for the freshest teas in the world, check out Teabox.com. That's right, Teabox.com. Check the link in the description section below. Go to newfrog.com for all of your electronic gadget needs. Fast becoming #1 online seller of cell phone and accessories, consumer electronics, automobiles and motorcycles, home and garden items, 5D diamond painting crafts, electrical and tool supplies, computer and networking supplies, lights and lighting supplies, sports and travel items, toys and hobby supplies, apparel and accessory, mother and kid items, health and beauty items, and much, much more. Newfrog.com has up to 70% off on some products. And you can check out their weekly promotions for all the best deals. Remember, when thinking online electronics and gadgets, think New Frog. Newfrog.com. Check the link in the description section below.
There's a reason he's always Employee of the Month. And why no shirt and no shoes is no problem. There's a lot of reasons to be a fan, but only NBAstore.com has all the gear.